Today's lesson is on angles and perpendicular bisectors, and this is section 5.2 if you want to follow along in your book. The learning intentions for today, what you're expected to know by the end, are to be able to bisect, which means to cut in half, an angle on paper. So if we had an angle drawn out like this, so you could bisect it perfectly, and also algebraically, which just means math, using numbers and a calculator maybe. And the second learning intention is to be able to recognize two perpendicular lines. And to start, perpendicular lines are two lines that cross at 90 degrees. So this would be a 90-degree angle because that's where the lines are crossing at. And so in the future, often you'll see the word perpendicular shown with that symbol. So our first learning intention was how to bisect an angle. First, let's look at what bisect means. Bisect means to cut into two equal parts. So if you had a line and you had to bisect it, you'd measure it, divide by 2, cut it in half, and this is being bisected now by this other line. Okay? So bisect means to be cut in half. So if you had an angle like this, and let's say it was 40 degrees, to bisect it would be to cut it into two 20-degree pieces. Okay? And now an angle bisector is a line that separates a bisected angle into its two halves. So if we had this angle, remember our original 40-degree angle, this line that cuts it into two 20s, this would be called the angle bisector because it is bisecting the angle. Bisect means cut in half, so it's cutting in half this angle into two equal parts. Now, we can do this if we have an angle using a compass and a ruler. And not sure if you remember, hopefully you do, a compass is the little device where it has a point on one end and the other end it holds your pencil and you're able to spin it around to make perfect circles. So unfortunately I don't have a large one here and it's hard to show this on a small scale, so hopefully stick with me. If I take my compass and I put my point here, I can bisect this using a compass. So I'm going to take my compass and again, just for imagine that this was me drawing a circle with my compass. Okay. So what I've done is I've gone through and now wherever it hit my lines, I take those 2 points. And now from those points, I do this again. Now I take my compass point, and this time I put my compass point here. And it might draw me a line out here, a curve. Then I put my don't move it. So once it's this size and I put it here, I draw my line. Using that same angle on my compass, I put my point here, and now it might draw me a line. So as I'm like that, okay? Because I'm drawing a big circle here. And then from this one, I'm drawing a big circle. But all I'm worried about is where they meet, because now if you take a ruler and you go from this point of your angle to where these two met, that is my angle bisector, and these are now bisected perfectly. Okay? So that's how you can bisect an angle. If you want, you can look up, if you're confused, how to bisect an angle in Google, and the first recommendation has a video with someone using a nice big tool to do all this. So if you don't understand what I did here without seeing it with a real compass, check this out on Google, check the first video, it shows up on Google, and it'll do this with a real compass. It'll look good. Okay, so that's how to do it with a compass. Now, if we had to do this algebraically, so just using math, how to bisect, let's say you knew this was a 40-degree angle. Bisect means to cut into two equal parts. So you divide by 2, and 20 degrees would be the size of the bisected angles. If we had a 90-degree angle, and we bisected it, cut it in half. So we have 2 equal parts. Well, 90 divided by 2 is 45 degrees. So that's all there really is to bisecting angles. You need to know how to do it algebraically using your calculator or mental math. and you need to know how to do it using a compass as well. So again, if you didn't get it, check out that other YouTube video. Our second learning intention today was to look at perpendicular lines. And first we need to know what that means. Two lines that meet at a 90-degree angle are perpendicular. So what I have here is I have my protractor, okay, and I'm going to use this to measure and find a 90-degree angle. So previously we've learned how to use these. So wherever my lines meet, I'm going to take and measure my angles. This angle is a 130-degree angle. So these two lines are not perpendicular because they're not meeting at 90 degrees. So let's try these two lines. This is 90 degrees. So in your book, they'll name them line 1, line 2, line 3. They use like a handwritten or a script L. Line 1, line 2, line 3. So if this is 90 degrees, line 2 and line 3 meet at 90 degrees. Okay, so they are, so we could say L2 is perpendicular to L3. Line 2 and line 3 are perpendicular to each other. So that concludes this lesson. Your assignment or the pages you can use to help you practice this are on page 225 to 230. And it's going to be a little bit of bisecting, a little bit of perpendicular lines, and then a small piece from the last lesson, complementary and supplementary, practicing that again. Stay classy, math class.